Salams and welcome to another episode of Quran Words of Wisdom. We are busy with chapter number 54, which is known as Surah Al-Qamar, which is the moon. And as we showed, this chapter begins with the moon being split. And as we mentioned in the previous episode, there's an absolute clear miracle without any doubt whatsoever. And many people saw it. When the disbelievers saw it, they said, no, this is magic, this is an illusion. But today we're going to look at very, very powerful verses number 23 to 32. It shows the warning that were given to the earlier nations, the people of Thamud, but they rejected the warnings. And they said, who is this man? Who is this ordinary person? Referring to a Nabi, Prophet Salih alayhi salam. And the parallel between the Thamud people and the people of Makkah is that the people of Makkah also insulted Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, also told him, who is this man? They referred to the messengers as y'all are liars and y'all are conceited and all sorts of mockery and sarcasm. So let's go. And this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us here that He gave the warnings, He gave enough time, and eventually when they refused the test, here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent them a she-camel, and they slaughtered the she-camel, much to their much to their downfall. Right. So let's continue. Surah verses. So it's Surah 54, verses 23 to 32. Thamud rejected the warnings and said, a solitary man he is from among ourselves. Shall we now follow him? If we did so, we should indeed be gone astray and have committed folly. Was he the only person among us to have God's reminders sent down to him? Nay, but he is an utter liar and a conceited person. Astaghfirullah, look at the words that they use, right? We said to our messenger, tomorrow they shall know who is an utter liar and who is the conceited person. We are sending the she-camel as a trial for them. Now watch with patience what end they meet. Tell them that the water will be divided between them and the she-camel, and each will have water on his own turn. At last, they called, it's in the lister's word, at last, that means some time past. At last, they called out to their companion, who took up the responsibility and killed her. Then see how severe was my punishment and how true were my warnings. We let loose on them a single blast, and they became as the trampled twigs of the fence of a fault builder. We have made this Quran as an easy means of admonition. Then is there any who would take the admonition, right? Very, very powerful words. Let's look briefly at the brief tafsir of this. So we know that we're looking at Quran al-Mubin, a magnificent Quran. It is a clear Quran. It is a lucid Quran. And from here, we're seeing some words of wisdom. It's Quran al-Mubin. It's a Quran, glorious book. And it's the Quran, the words of wisdom. There were basically three reasons why they refused Prophet Salih alayhi salam in the same way that they also refused Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Right. Firstly, he is a human being and not a superhuman being. He's not Superman, so that we may regard him as superior to ourselves. So he's just an ordinary person like us. So that's the first reason they refused him. Second reason, he is a member of our own nation, so he's no way superior to us. We know him, we grew up with him. So in what way is he superior to us, right? And the third reason they rejected him or held him in contempt is that he is a single man, one from ourselves. What can he do? He's just one person. He is not a prominent chief with a large following or an army of soldiers, nor does he have a whole lot of attendants so that we may acknowledge his superiority. He doesn't come with bodyguards, and he doesn't come with a royal entourage. Why must we give him any attention? They wanted that a prophet should either be a superman, or if he's an ordinary man, he should not have been born in their own land, their nation. They say familiarity breeds contempt. So because they knew they used them in contempt, But if it was a foreigner, international, like we have international speaker. A speaker has come from overseas. Let's go run, let's go visit, let's go listen to him because it's an international speaker. Similarly to this, if it was an international person, a prophet, then they would have listened to him. But someone from our own ranks, no, 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 no. So this same was the era of ignorance in which the disbelievers of Mecca were also involved in. They also refused to acknowledge the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ as a prophet, on the ground that he was a man who moved about the streets like any ordinary person. He was born amongst them. They knew him. They knew his whole lifestyle from a young age. And now suddenly he was claiming to be a messenger or a prophet from God. This was beyond their understanding. The word Ashara of the original means a conceited, insolent person given to his bragging of his superiority to others. He looks down on other people. This explains the word, we are sending the she-camel as a trial for them. The trial was that suddenly a she-camel was produced before them, and some books say that she came out of the mountainside itself, from the cliff itself. So it was an absolute miracle. And they knew that there was something strange about this camel coming out from the side of a cliff. And secondly, it was a huge, magnificent camel, something they could never understand. This camel was so huge that he drank the entire, when he drank that water, all that water was finished in the well. So on the other day, all the people drank the water and all the cattle. Imagine all the other camels and all the cattle, the sheep, the cows would drink it on one day. And on this day set aside for this camel alone would drink all the water. So it was a huge camel, and they knew there's something strange about this camel. They mustn't interfere with it. So the trial was that suddenly a she-camel was produced before them, and they were told that one day she would drink all the water by herself, and the next day they would be allowed to have water for themselves as well as their cattle. On the day on which it was her turn, neither of them would any of them come to any of the springs. Neither the people nor the animals would come to the springs and wells to take water, nor would they bring their cattle for the watering. This challenge was given on behalf of the person. It was given on behalf of Nabi Salih alayhi salam. So these words by themselves indicated that the she-camel roamed at will in their settlements for a long period of time. No one would dare challenge or dare approach a source of water on the day of her turn. So they left her alone for a while. At last they got tired. They called out to a haughty chief of theirs, a very arrogant person who was well known for his courage and boldness, and urged him to put an end to her. They said, no, we can't continue. She's drinking the water. We must just drink every alternate day. No, 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 no. Initially they were quiet. Then they said they failed the test, right? So emboldened by the false encouragement, he took up the responsibility and he killed the she-camel. Wow. This is a she-camel from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what Prophet Salih alayhi salam is telling them. Don't touch the she-camel. Y'all don't know what y'all are doing. Y'all are being put to a test. This is a test for y'all. Don't touch her. Leave her alone. Have sabr. They did not have sabr. And in life, we also learn that lesson. Sometimes we don't have sabr, we get into problems. My late mother, may Allah grant her the highest stage of Jannah and Firdaus, always tell us, have sabr. Sabr, I know in Mehmet should say, sabr Allah jo maro hai. If you're hasty, shaitan, haste, if you are rushing, that comes from Satan, that comes from the devil. So if you're rushing in things, that comes from shaitan. But if you have sabr, if you have patience, that's a godly virtue. That's piety. So you must have sabr, be stoic. But it's not easy to have sabr. So these people did not have sabr. They did not have sabr. They failed the test. They slaughtered this camel. I don't know how they caught her. They must have tied her with heavy, heavy ropes, tied her down to capture that huge camel, then to tie her down, then to slaughter. They needed probably a specially huge knife. So they killed the she-camel. The people themselves were very frightened of this camel. They were initially scared of this test. They felt that she had extraordinary power, and so they dared not to touch her with any evil intention. That is why the killing of a mere she-camel, especially when the Prophet who had represented her did not possess an army, amounted to undertaking a very dangerous and difficult task. And they killed the she-camel. They failed the test. The punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came, and the punishment came so severely. And that the Quran says the crushed and rotten bodies of the people of Thamud have been compared to the trampled and trodden twigs and pieces of bush laying around in the enclosure of a cattle pen. And the Quran ends with That verse, not the Quran, but that verse, it ends with, it's asking the disbelievers to contemplate. So it's asking the disbelievers in the time of Thamud, even in the time of Ad, time of Thamud, time of Firaun. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing us in the Quran. This is what happened to the previous great nations. These were huge, magnificent civilizations. They had more wealth and more power than you, meaning they had more wealth than today's superpowers. They were more wealthy than America and Russia and China, more powerful, more wealthy, right? But yet they did not take admonition. And the verse ends off with, we have made this Quran an easy means of admonition. Then is there any who would take admonition? Stay well, look after yourself. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ameen Rabbil Alameen.